Hi everybody, it's Christy here at my Artful Adventures. Today we're working on a Lil Cottage, which is one of the Papercraft socials kits that I offer. And the best thing to do is work along with me, or at least watch first. And you might like to watch and wait until I've completed a step so that we make sure that I got it right and I didn't have to correct a boo-boo. So I've worked really hard though to try to not have to go back and backtrack on stuff. But you'll need some scissors and adhesive, and you'll notice that I use quite a bit of double-sided tape and glue. You might, if you have a glue stick, you might find that handy as well for part of it. I wouldn't suggest that you use a glue stick on your whole project though, because that has a tendency to not, stick the best for, a long amount of time. But if you have a paper trimmer, that's kind of a bonus too. You might like that. And if you have a scoring tool, that's another bonus. But you can also work with your fingers. You can use the edge of the table if you've got one that's kind of squared off at the edge. Because that's going to be, to help you fold and make score lines. And also a ruler can be helpful for, getting some of your folds, and a bone folder. Or if you don't have a bone folder, you can even just use like the sides of the handles of your scissors. That'll work. You're also going to need a hole punch, and even just one of the cheapy kinds like at the grocery store or, Dollar Tree or somewhere like that. It doesn't have to be a real fancy one. You'll want to have something like that. And so then I've supplied ribbons and some charms and Velcro dots and, plus a little bit of bling. But you can use whatever else that you want, because guess what? It's your project, and you can ink your edges, whatever you want to do. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So right now we're going to get going. I hope you took my advice and didn't cut out a bunch of stuff before we get started, because I've got a couple of tricks and tips here for you. Now, this page right here, these two, the front and the back cover, like you can see, we've tried to make sure that you didn't cut this off. Where this has got this tiny little, dotted line, that's going to be, it's a score line, okay? So don't cut that off. You can go ahead and cut the rest of these out, cut these two out, and you can cut out, let's see, you'll want to cut out these three. You can cut out these three and this one here. They are going to go behind the windows in the cover, okay? So you can do that. Now, if you want to find some fun magazine pictures that you would like to have somebody peeping through the window and see, or if you've got family pictures or something inside your own home that you'd like to use for a little peek in the windows, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to cut mine out here and I will get back to you. Oh, and before I get started, you don't have to be too detailed with getting these out. The edges aren't going to show, and we're going to move them around to where you want them in the window anyway. So don't be too picky about how detailed you are around the outsides of those. And then you'll also want to take these two pages that are a full page. You'll want to cut these, and if you've got a paper trimmer, I would suggest trimming off the little white edges with a paper trimmer. And what I would suggest is take them, lay them out. The two inside white strips need to come off. If those are relatively straight, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get them into the back side of the inside cover. So does that make sense? So when we put this all together, we are going to end up putting this on the inside, okay? Phew, I know it's a lot to get started, but it's going to be fun, I promise. Okay, I've got mine all cut out, and so now we need to score these lines. Now, this paper is not heavy enough that you can't just do it, by your, with your fingers. Some other things that you might do for folding. Let me grab a ruler. I'll show you another couple of ways that kind of work great if you need a way to fold something. And you can do this, going forward on the pockets and stuff that we have. Line it up at the edge, right along where you want it to fold, and then just grab it. Now, I've already done it this way. It doesn't want to lean up. And then you can kind of do this and give it just kind of some help that way. You can't do it from the back because you can't see what a score line is. But then you've got that little bit of, help, and you can do it. Here, let me show you on this one. You can do it if you've got a pretty straight edge on the side of the workspace you're working on. You can do it like that too. Mine is not. My desk edge has like a rolled edge to it, and so that doesn't work for me. But here, you can go like this, and then, you know, then you've got it folded, so then you just fold it back the other direction. So that's kind of an easy way to get that folded like that. Now, if you want to do any inking of any of these things, now is the time. I've just got, you know, one of these. I've got a little brush that I do some inking with, and so I'm just going to add a little bit along here. I've cut your windows for you already, and I don't know if that's even hardly showing up. There we go. And you can just add a little bit of this. It'll give a little bit more definition to those places that you have cut. It's kind of hard to see. I'll show you. So just a little bit. I've seen it inked with black as well, and that really is pretty. Oops, you know what? I forgot to do this. I forgot to do the top window, you guys. Let me do the top one. But yours should all be cut. I didn't want you to have to do all of this cutting yourself. So we'll just, and you know, it's okay. It doesn't have to be all, you know, super straight. As you can see, it's kind of a watercolor effect, and nothing is, you know, we don't have super hard straight lines on here anyway. And so we'll just kind of go with that idea of it not being, you know, hard and straight, and we'll just ink it up a little bit. And you can do this or not do that. If you're not somebody that likes to do a lot of inking, don't worry about it. And actually, if you're not an inker, you're going to get through this project a lot more quickly anyway, right? Now this one, I don't know, I could have cut a little bit more into that roof line, but I didn't really want to do that to make it open, because we just want to have a little peek in here. So if you use other things like magazine pieces or whatever you want to use, I would love to see it. And you know, you're more than welcome to email it, tag me in it on social media at My Artful Adventures, and I'd love to see it. Or if you want to put it in our free group, My Artful Adventures Clubhouse on Facebook, you can sure do that too. Now, I wouldn't do any of the inking on the outside edges right now, because we're going to put it all together. And then if we want to ink it, you know, after that, then that would be the time that we would do it. So now let's go ahead. And so I want, this is the way my book is going to go, like this, right? So I want this to have a nice, I don't want the seam here on the front side. The seam right here will be on the back. It's going to be closed real well anyway, but I want it to be like that. So I would be having it, you know, once you turn it over, then your right side is going to lay over the left when you look at it like this. So I'm going to put a little bit, if you use tear tape, that's kind of a handy way to get it to stick real easy. I had a brand new glue stick that I was going to use to just kind of do for some of it. You don't really want to only use glue stick, you guys, because it tends to kind of just not hold for all eternity. I don't know how long we're going to want these little booklets, but I'm probably going to want it longer than a glue stick might last. I just don't know. But I am going to do it like this. If you're putting more than one layer on and they might go over each other, be sure you take the one strip off first, because if you don't, you'll have it in the way of the other one. I got something on here, something sticky. So just do that. You guys, I got these on Amazon pretty cheap, and they came with these tweezers, and I'm like that's gonna help me. I was totally surprised how great it helped them come off. So I am gonna put a little bit of my glue on here. Now I just use that reptile glue. It dries pretty fast, and it will hold all kinds of surfaces. So I'm gonna put that on here, and just give me a moment to be able to slide that around. But I'm going to put it this way. Okay, so this is my one that goes over the top. I am going to flip it over this way, you guys, because this way I can see it better to line it up. And I want to make sure that my bottom edges are straight. And see, that glue just gives you that moment to get it into place. Just like that. And there we've got it. So now this would be another good time if you want to ink your edges. This would be perfect to like ink the back, kind of your spine edges, right? Just give it a little ink, and then you'll cover up those little blue dots. That's a good reason, I guess, to ink it. And then just fold this one and ink that. Well, this one wasn't. I gotta fold that one. And I got that kind of out of whack, you guys, but that's okay. Just give it a good fold. Make sure your crease is good. And that's another thing. You can use your, maybe if I can get in here, I might trim that off. Yep, look at that's how much off. I got it out of my crease. So nobody's gonna see this inside. So I can just turn my scissors and lay them flat and get that off of there. And that'll be nice. So when you want a really nice crease, you can use a bone folder. You can use the back of your scissors. You can just press it hard with your fingers. Just something to, you know, give it a good crease like this. Okay? And so you'll want your first ones to be a nice crease because we'll have some other things to do with it going forward. And you want that one to be good. Oh, I didn't even get that inked. I had that problem and then I didn't even ink it. But it just gives it a little bit more definition. I do like the way it looks. And I do on the spine like that it's covering up that blue score line. Bonus! Bonus, right? Okay, so now we're going to take our little small pictures here, and I'll show you what we're going to do with them. We're going to line them up. Okay, you can pick one of these to kind of be the dining room, right? And I think I'll put it up here in the front. No, you know what? I think I'll put that one in the back here. I didn't even cut the white part all off of here because I know I'm going to have to trim it up anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue kind of close around. I'm going to have to clean that out. And I think I'm going to have to pause here pretty soon and fill my glue. Feels like it's getting a little low. So we're going to go all the way around the outside of the window. Don't get it too close because you don't want it to squeeze into, you know, into your opening and seal it closed, right? So now kind of real carefully take your window and open it up and then decide where you want. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Is it? Oh, yes, it is. I decided I would put that there. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to make sure I can see my chairs and just put it right like that and then press it down around the edge. And we'll come back in a minute and get that guy trimmed off. So same thing here. Just do them one by one. Let's put one along here. Just keep working on them. So this is going to be my little dog, like he's on a living room couch here, or chair, sorry. And then I'm just going to line that up. And how do I kind of want to be able to see the plant. I like that. So I'm going to put that here. And just seal around the edge. And then just keep working here. I'll do the little attic. We've got this funny little chair up here in the attic. And I think it's big enough I'll be able to see part of the chair and the little lamp. Wouldn't that be fun? Just put it right here. I like it. Get that down. And then our last one, we'll put these little shelves to where you can see them in this doorway window. Oh my goodness, I'm tangled on my tape strip. So we're just going to put that on here. Okay. And just flip it over. Get it the right direction, right? And then we'll just find a nice place we want to see. And we'll just put that there and seal it around. Okay, so now I see I've got a little bit of the corner up in the top. Up here. Oh, I'm starting to get little the little covers from the tape everywhere. And then this one. Now this one, okay, so this over here, we got lots of space here. Let's trim some of that off. That's a lot of excess that we don't really need. Make sure it's glued down. And then this one, get this trimmed off. Just turn your scissors kind of flat. You can get it trimmed off. Okay, now we're gonna put down our ribbon. Oh man, I got a lot. This thing really came loose. You don't want your tape all loose. Now we're gonna put our ribbons in here, our ties. We're gonna put them here before we go on. Look, if I do that here, that'll help secure that little edge down. I think I dropped my tweezers. Okay, so now we're going to pull the backing off. Put a little, try to line them up as best you can. And you know, the tape, we got more tape than how wide our ribbon is. So once we lay the ribbon down, we can better kind of line them up across from each other. And they don't have to just match exactly. That's not going to matter. Okay, now I've got a couple of pieces of this ribbon. And I'm just going to lay it down here. Just like that, so it can catch on there. And then if you really want for it to be pretty precise, just hold this one over here and just kind of line it up and just kind of tap it there. Don't tap it too much or you'll glue the other places together where your tape was, right? Okay, now we're going to work on these covers, or the inside cover. So I did just what I told you. I just cut the bottom and the white part off here. So what I'm going to do, I want this to go to the, okay, here's one crease line and here's the second one. I want this to go just on the inside of this, and don't put it any closer over, because this makes a nice way for this to fold easy in the back. So, you know, then you're not having to do double on that fold. So I'm going to go all around the edges here with my glue and just get it on here. Oop, there's another little piece that looks like it needs stripped or clipped off. I'll run it down here. I sure wish I could find that piece of, or that glue stick, and then just a little inside to stick it down. Keep it from moving around too much. I'll put another piece down here. Okay, so let's put down our, now they might not match exactly on the bottom, because the bottom is kind of, you know, it's not completely, it might not be completely straight, you guys. It's just a little bit, make sure, if anything, you want to make sure that your side over here is what you want to be using for your guide. And I need to pull that down a little bit. It's just not designed to where it's super straight on that bottom, is what I found out. There we go. There we go. Because we're going to trim it anyway, right? So then just give it a good press everywhere. And then we'll do this side. And we'll have our inside cover done. But yeah, the important part is make sure that you can bend that along that crease on the spine with no trouble. That would be my best suggestion. Alrighty. And then just a little more inside. Keep it stuck down. Alright. So now we're going to line this one up over here and just get it there, so make sure that it will bend up there nicely. There we go. And then just press it down. Okay, now you're going to, you know what? I think the one side was all we needed to have really, you know, cut. And you can see a little crease in here, but that's okay. I mean, you can ink that and nobody will know. Nobody's going to be paying attention to that. So I'm not going to fold it on this crease yet until we get it all trimmed off, until it and until it dries better. So all we're going to start doing now is just trimming all of this. And so because it's got the backing and we're going to trim around here, we know where it needs to go, and then it's going to match. So this was just the easiest way to do this, so it would match. Now hold your ribbon up here and just, you know, don't get it cut, right? Just go along there and get that all cut. And one of the easiest things to do is when you're cutting big chunks out like this, just cut some of it off. And it's just easier to deal with as you go around and get it cut, right? It doesn't matter if you cut some of these chunks off. Now these little places along here, these were kind of challenging. The rest of it not so much, but that was kind of a little bit of a challenge. So don't worry. And if you just want to snip in and make it more straight, that's fine. You can certainly do that and make it a little easier on yourself. And like this right here, this is one of those places. If you want to just cut it here and make it more straight and meet that other spot, I would suggest, don't, like when you get to corners and you didn't get them quite clipped, I would suggest not just pulling them, because then they have a tendency to make it, you know, they'll kind of rip and look not so swell. So I wouldn't want to do that. And just keep following along your little roof line here. And then I'll show you a second. When I get around this curve here, it's not really a curve, this line here, now I'm just going to go up and just cut that off. Now I don't have to fight with that as I'm going around the rest of it. Right, so let me finish this and then we'll continue. I have all of this cut out, and so this would be another great time to take some ink and just hit some of these places. It'll help. I've got a tiny bit of white showing down here at the bottom. If I do this, it's gonna just kind of blend that all in, you guys. And any places where you know, it just kind of gives a little bit more depth and dimension. We're always laughing about that and talking about it. But like I said, don't worry. You know, if you don't want to ink and you don't have any ink right now, don't worry about it. There's a little piece there that doesn't want to get covered up. And, you know, and you can even do the inside here if you want to. I'll flip it over in a second and see if I want to do that yet. I don't know. I didn't decide that yet. Okay. All right. And so on the inside, I mean, you can see how it is inside. So if you wanted to add a little bit of ink, I'm probably going to ink a lot of it. Just because, you know, once you start, then if you don't do all of it, you know, then you're just like, oh, I didn't do that, I forgot that. But I do have a trick for you. I'll show you in a little bit. I'm always showing everybody how to, if you missed a section or you forgot to ink something, I've got a trick for that. Outside edges aren't too bad. I mean, you can always go back and do outside edges. That's not really a problem. But now, not everybody uses these brushes. And I tell you what, if you do not have a blending tool, the little brushes are nice. The little ones with the foam dauber things on the bottom and the little handles, I never could use those worth anything until they came out with the little domed foam pieces. Why I can use the little domed pieces better, I have no idea. No idea why that works better for me, but you know, if you've tried to do some inking and you didn't have any luck with it, you might, you know, give one of those a whirl. And then now they've got those nice big brushes. They actually call them, I think they're calling them ergonomic brushes. Great big, and they're easy for people to use, especially, I know some people who kind of have some problems with, excuse me, arthritis. And they say that they're so much easier for them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and take this one and just give it a little bend here. Get it to fold. So we've got our spine going on. Okay, so I need to ink this part here. I've got this white section showing and I really don't like that at all. So if we ink that up, it will be a lot less noticeable. But it's only going to show like as you have it open for the from the very, you know, first part. It's not even going to show after that, right? And that's why I said do that part on the back too. It's, you know, it's less noticeable on the back. But here we go. This is what I was telling you. You kind of want to have all of it match. So I'm just gonna do a little bit at the edge right here. This one's harder because it's, you know, you've already got all this paper here. And you don't want to bend it too far the other way because that's not the way it's, you know, it's gonna work right now. Okay, so I got a little bit there. Just a little bit. So I'm going to put it back the way it goes. Okay, let's set this aside and let's move on to the next section. So now we've got our inside pages, and I'm going to show you how the inside pages work. We're going to take, so there's 2 for each section. So you can see here's page 1A, and then this says glue to tab 1A, okay? So I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. And again, I got a little trick here, so, you know, I hope you didn't run through here and do all of these. So I'm going to cut off the bottom because we're going to match up the bottoms. And we're going to cut part way up the side, just part way, okay? And then just cut this part out. Like that. And then we're going to cut the tab. And we're going to, I'm going to cut this part right here. And just a tiny snippet. And I'm going to cut that off. Like that. And I'm going to do that on the same to its partner page. Now these do not have to be exact like the parts that we cut off. So on the tab parts, go ahead and trim those all off. And do that, just a little smidget, trim it off. And, oh, this is always a harder side for me. And then this one, look at that. Okay. So now we're going to glue these 2 together. So this is going to go on this side right here, okay? Just like that. So we're going to get a little bit of our tape. And I like to place it on the outside edge here pretty much. And then just press it down good. You got to press it down pretty good to get the liner off, right? And then another one on the back side. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use glue on that part. So we're going to glue all on here. Like that. And we're going to match these up. I was trying to pick it up where it's going to be eventually cut. And then just match these just like that. Go ahead and match the bottoms because we can trim this part up at the top, okay? Like that. Okay, now we're going to take, we'll set those aside. We're going to take the next 2. So 2A to 2A. Okay, so this is the second one, the second set of pages. So the same thing. We're just going to cut across the bottom. Now some of these, I tell you what, be careful because some of these that have, like especially these plaids that have, you know, the lighter color at the end, they're a little bit more difficult to see where the edge is. But, you know, don't worry. And you don't have to go up too far with that. And just trim our tabs off. or no, trim along the tab. Don't trim the tab off. That was a misstatement. Okay. And we'll do the same on this page. I'm trying to keep my scraps wrangled here. And you guys, this is a very different styled little journal. And so these, I hope that you enjoy these Papercraft social kits, because you know they've got everything done. I mean, there's no measuring, you know, basically all you're having to do is do the cutting. Everything has been designed, and I just think these are just such a fun way to have a project ready to go and enjoy your creative time, and then come out with something really fabulous and fun. You know, I want to say it's kind of mindless. You don't have to be too, I don't want to say that. That doesn't sound very good, right? But yeah, you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that sometimes we have to do with the measuring when we're doing it ourselves and doing some of our journal work with pockets and all of that. Now this is, I do know that this is the only one of these that is going to be made in this fashion. That's it. This is the only one. Okay, so this one we're going to place right along here. We'll get our little seams lined up here. Or not seams. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there we got that. Now, so we've got two of them, right? So this is side one and side two, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to put these back to back, just like this. So we're going to match these up on the bottoms. I think I'm going to try and do the corners here, just like this. Match up my corners, just like that. Now, I was thinking about this before, and I wonder, I don't know, I think I'm going to try this, you guys. I want to see if I poke a pin up through the pointy top of this and poke it right down. We'll have these in place and poke it right down. If I can see that it's coming out at, oh, look at that. It's right at the pointy top over there. And you know, I think I am going to leave that like that, because then I know that's where it needs to stay. Okay, so I'm going to line these up. I'm going to try it again. Because you know, when you cut and everything, it's not always exact. Okay, that is a little bit off. But you know, our pieces are already together. But that is pretty darn close, you guys. And I still think I think I'll move these. Because my bottoms are just now. Don't worry. We're not going to have to be this crazy about it. But you know what? Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about this. I should have put my glue on, you guys. Let's do this. Let's put some glue across the bottom here and up a little ways, and let's seal these down. Let's get those sealed down. So now we know those places, they are right where they need to be. Okay? And I'm going to take this up a little ways, and I'm just going to go inside here a little ways and get some glue down here. And then I'll just keep kind of working my way around here. I'll have to go back in and get my glue in. Now, if you had a glue stick, this would be a great, you know, a glue stick, and let them dry for a little while and then cut them out like that. That would be perfect. It really would. And I tell you, I still cannot figure out for the life of me where in the world that glue stick went that I had this morning. Look, I'm just kind of drawing around here. And I should have put some in the, you guys, I didn't even get any in here. That was a mistake. So if you've got some glue stick, just, you know, get some in the interior here and then stick them down. You can always go around the edge with a little bit of glue. Just lift up the sides, right? Just lift them up and go around. So now we're going to cut this out. These little places with these tiny curves, I'm gonna be real honest, are not my favorite. Okay, and we're just gonna go on here and just snip it all up. So then when we're done, these should match pretty good. And then if they're not, you know, if we've got a little bit of white space or something, this is another reason it's kind of nice if you ink them, because if you've got another little bit, you know, now when you've got these funny little places on these inside pages, you're just like, well, why is that? Well, that's part of the, you know, the outside. If you remember, it's got those little places that go up on the roof. Let me grab it here and I'll show you. That's this little section. So the inside pages have to have that as well. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, don't get excited if you get done and you put these together and it doesn't exactly match the roof. The pages, the inside pages, are a little bit smaller than your cover. And, you know, that's a good thing, actually. Because then you can do other stuff in there. And, you know, if you try to get things like a cover that matches exactly, a lot of times you've got places that are going to stick out, and I'd rather have them smaller inside than sticking out the cover where you know, where you didn't want them, right? So we're just going to do this. Now, you guys, the first time I made this, I did not do it like this, and I thought I was going to go crazy cutting all of these one by one. I'm just like, oh man, we have got to have a better way. And I didn't come up with this way, but guess what? I didn't watch. I didn't pay attention. That's why I said, please don't cut these. Please don't cut them out. Please wait. Okay, look at that. This is the only one that really could use a little place of help. And either I can trim that off, or, you know, I'm just going to ink it. So either way, you know, you're good. So I'm gonna ink these, and so there are other sets. So this was page, you know, 1 and 2, and so just do your other ones the same way. And then I'll be, oh, now I forgot this. We need to go ahead and we need to get these bent up here, right? We need to press these so we've got our little spine thing going on here. So I'm just gonna, and when you use this method like this, put it to the inside. I don't think you can see. Let me see if I can bump you down a little closer for this. It's still hard to see. I think you can see. There's the blue. I've got it just a hairline of that blue showing, because as you bend it up here, the paper needs room, just like when we do the other things. The paper needs some room there. And so by the time it bends, it's right there at the edge of the blue. Okay, so that's a good way to do it. And if you don't have, and I mean, this is a perfect way to do these if you don't have a different kind of scoreboard or, you know, something else. This works just fine. Okay, now I actually like the first one I made for my sample. I really put a lot of glue on all of these inside parts of the pages, and you know, like this one, I can see it does need some more glue in here, but you know what, you're gonna have enough stuff in here that it's not gonna matter, you guys. And it also gives it a little bit of flexibility, actually, because if you've got all of that to where if it's glued too tight and you're trying to bend it in, then it will kind of wrinkle up over here. So don't worry about it. If you've got a little bubbly area, don't worry. Maybe in the meantime, I will look for my glue stick. Okay, so go ahead and put your other pages together, and really, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can use 3 and 4 together. You can use 3 and 6 together, whatever you want to do. But this is how those go together. So go ahead and work on the other sets, and then I'll meet you back here. Are you ready to move forward now? We are going to assemble our pages inside now. Let me move back a little bit. Okay, so all we're going to do now, this is the way they go. We're going to, put them together like this with their little spines like that. So just layer them in like that. The pages are going to lay flat like this. And then we'll insert them into this section. So we're going to punch holes in these. And I need to grab a pencil over here. After I make my first cut, or my first hole punches, I'm going to take a pencil and mark them so that I know that they are, at the same spot. And so I've got to crop it out. You can use, regular hole punch. This one only goes this far in here right now. So just going to punch that and punch the other one on the other side. Actually, I suppose I wouldn't need to measure them because this is as far as it goes. But I'll show you if you wanted to, make sure that if you're using a different kind of hole punch and you need to see where it is going to go, just take these and line them up, and then just, do a little circle here so you can see where it was that you punched it. Then when you move it, you can see where it is, right? So, but this is as far as mine goes in here. But I can still make sure that they're the same. Or you can hold one up to the next one. Like on this one, you can just hold them together and see where they were punched. And if you're going to do something like that, you want to make sure that they are, staying in line. So you might want to clip them together. I got stuff, I can't even see where the hole is there. Poke it out of there with something. There we go. An end of a paintbrush is a handy tool. And then I can just line it up and I can see where I poked the other one. And I can do that. And I'll just so that you've got them clipped to where they'll stay. And then just, line them up like that. And again, I can't see. Goodness. Tools are handy, but sometimes they take a little finagling, don't they? Okay, so we've got those. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay one. I'll just lay one right here inside this spine. Now you'll see what I was saying about this one is a little bit bigger. So go ahead and center your pieces so you've got a little bit of a margin on the bottom and the top. And that's okay. And you're going to see we get another little roof peeking out of here on the side. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it's just, this is crafting, right? That's just the way that turned out. So I'm going to try and mark this. I don't think I can see this. I don't think mine is going to punch in that far. I might have to get out something else. So make sure, and I tell you what, even if I only go in as far as this goes and it is a different spot in my covers, it will be fine because we're going to, poke our ribbon in to bind it, and it really isn't going to matter because it'll just pull it all together. Man, I tell you what, those little things are, you guys, I had a little stack of these one time that I don't know what in the world they were, but I stepped on them with no shoes, and you wouldn't believe how hard that thing was. This is not going to be the same, but I'm going to show you it's going to work. So see, I don't know if you can see this. the top of my pencil mark, or my pencil mark is, you know, at the top of my circle. But when we pull it together, the ribbon is going to pull right in there, and it's going to be fine. So, you know, this is one of those things where you use what you have and it's going to work. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now we can just stack these in here. I'm going to get a piece of ribbon. I think I'm going to use the same ribbon that I used for the ties. And let's see. I'm going to try. Let's see, we've got to have it come in and cross over. I probably only need, but I have to be able to tie it. It doesn't have to tie in a bow necessarily. We don't really need it to tie in a bow, but I want to make sure in case I would need to trim some frayed edges off or something. So we're going to go in through the insides. And one of the things you might do too is you can put a little glue on this and almost make it, you know, like kind of roll it around in your fingers and let it dry, and then you've made it almost like a little shoelace, and then you've got an easier thing to poke through, right? This isn't too bad though. This is gonna work fine. So just some kind of a ribbon. I guess if you wanted a more rustic look, you could use a little piece of twine. That would look kind of cute too. But here's the deal. If you wanted to, you could lay out, you could, you know, have one of these pages out and put it on some cardstock and trace pages. You'd have to give yourself a margin because I think this is, well, actually this is almost 12 inches. You could do them just a tiny bit less, right? Man, you could almost get one on a 12-inch thing. And it would be okay if it was a tiny bit smaller. You could do that. And anyway, you could add more pages in here if you so desired. So now I'm going to go back in through the other way because I'm going to have this, I'm going to tie it on the inside. And then we'll just have this one ribbon out here on the outer edge. See, and it's nice that it's all loose right now because we can get to the pages. I don't know if I can go through all of those at once. Let me see. No. Well, maybe if I had used something to stick it through, I could. Well, I can't even get it through one. You know what? Let me use this pencil. Let me see if I can get it through there with the pencil. Just poke it through. There we go. I got it. Okay, so now you're just going to pull it. You might have to loosen it up some on the back. Well, now I have it way off the other way. You know, I ought to just hold these and kind of, how's that? And then just fix it on the back so it looks nice. And you might have to fiddle with it a little bit. You might pull it out and then hold it, pull it back in, so it ends up laying like you would like. There, that looks better. I like that. And it's just ribbon, right? If you were to use a different kind of ribbon, I mean, like if you were using a little piece of grosgrain or something that was a more narrow ribbon, you wouldn't have to mess with it. But I like this, and especially since I already used this for the outside ties. Now I'm just going to tie it right here in the center, and I'm just going to tie it in a knot. I might tie it in a knot, and then I might tie that part in a bow, but I don't, you know, you don't have to. Just leave enough that you can get it loose if you want to, if you decide you wanted to put more pages in. Now if you think I'm never going to put more pages in, you know, trim it off and call it a day. I think there's enough stuff in here. Gosh, I wish I would have seen how much of that I used, because I didn't need nearly this much, did I? Not nearly that much. And those are going to be little snips of ribbon that I don't know what I would do with just that little bit. Okay, now something that you can do to make sure that your ribbons don't fray for something like this, you can take just a tiny bit of glue. Now I like these little needle nose bottles, and I just take a tiny bit along here. Now depending on what ribbon you have, a little bit of heat can, you know, seal them off. I don't always like to do that though, because I'm not really sure what it might do. I really don't want to start a fire in my craft room, if you know what I mean. But I have done that often with some kinds of ribbon. But you can use just a little, if you've got glue that's going to dry clear, you know, that works fine. Now on this one, I tell you, on these outside edges, I think I'll give them a pretty little dovetail. So just fold that in half and cut from the inside to the outside edge, and then you can have a nice little dovetail. And then, you know, just go ahead and get your little ribbons, or get your little glue on the end of your ribbon, just like this, and it'll keep it from fraying, and nobody's even going to notice this. And if you think it looks like you got too much on it, just take your finger and tap it. Just tap it off a little bit. That's going to dry and nobody's going to see it. And let's do the same thing over here. So just fold it in half, just like that, and then cut from the inside to the outer edges at an angle, and then you've got that pretty dovetail. And there's a different way to do it. If you're doing it on paper, since you don't want to just fold your paper in half, right? There's a different way you can do it. You can actually take a piece of paper and trim it, snip it at the end. Let me grab it and I'll show you what I mean. On just a tiny piece. I'll just take one that we've been working on right here. All you have to do is take your scissors and trim about how high you want into the middle, and then from those outer corners just go in and meet the edge of that. And that's an easy way to get a nice little dovetail on a piece of paper. Okay, so I hope you're moving along here. And I hope this is, and I did go ahead and ink all my pages up. So now we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay. So next, I think we should work on the little waterfall pockets, and that's this page. So there's 4 of these, so I'm just going to go ahead, let's take those. We'll cut those out. We'll just trim these out, just cut them just the way they are. If you want to go ahead and ink them, you can do that. So I'm going to cut these out and I will be right back. I've got mine all cut out and inked up. And I do want to say before we go on and start decorating any pages, decide what you want to, if you decide what you want to do with your book first, it's going to help you decide how you want to decorate it. Because if you want to use it more like a scrapbook and put in a lot of pictures, then you're going to want, plenty of open space. If you want to use it more like a little junk journal and have lots of pockets and tags and all kinds of things, then you can use the things that are in the kit more for embellishments, right? Now this, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to, first of all, make sure you know which order they go in. So you want, small, medium, and large. So you need to know which way those go. And I am going to go ahead and fold these over like this. I wish I would have, there's my bone folder. So I'm going to do each of these real quick. And I'm going to put these on the inside of the front cover. But you can use some of the elements, you can use all of them. Even if you're going to put pictures on, you can print pictures in a rather small format, and at least it's off of your phone or out of your camera or wherever it is, And you would be surprised just to have a really small little photo. Now, the first time I started seeing people use those tiny bitty photos, I'm like, well, what's the point? How could you even see those? But you know, you can. And a tiny picture that you can see is better than one that's only living on your phone, and you know, maybe you've scrolled through 1,000 pictures and you don't even see it, because that's how we are these days, right? We can keep all kinds of photos. All right. Okay. So the way that we do these is we're going to start with the top one, the little baby one. We're going to do that one first. And you're going to put the glue or your tape, whatever you're using. We're going to put it like that. And then I'm going to fold it down so, no, I'm not either. I need to see how far down to put it. I'm going to put it, you guys, I need to make sure I've got plenty of room here. I think they're probably going to stack about like this. Like that. So where is that going to go? Okay, kind of right here. Okay, all right. So I like that. So can you see it's just a little bit down? It's probably about 3/8 of an inch. If you put it about 1/4 of an inch from this little edge that sticks out, you're gonna be good. Okay, so now we'll put the other ones on here and get the glue on the flap. And then they just stack on down like this. So, you know, it doesn't have, you know, a mechanism in it. But now I'm going to put it down. I'm going to cover up the edge. I like that. So it's partly covering this. And be sure and make sure that your edges line up, you guys. Make sure that your outside edges line up. And if they don't, you know, no one's been harmed in the process. So, you know, it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna put that in there, kind of line it up for my glue dries, make sure it's about where I want it. And then we'll get the last one on here. And then that's all there is to doing the waterfall. Those pages are kind of in my way. And just make sure you line it up before you get it down. Okay, look at that. Isn't that cute? We've got our little waterfall right in the front. Now we have all kinds of pockets and side pockets and little folders to use. So many things. And I'll show you the little envelopes here. Let's work on the envelopes. If you're new to fussy cutting, which is just, you know, kind of a more detailed cut of things, the small scissors work great for fussy cutting. And another thing is, if you'll twist your paper, instead of trying to turn your scissors around all of your curves, when you twist your paper instead, it's a lot easier. So we'll just get this done. And I will give it a tiny bit of ink. That's what I said. Remember I said when you start inking stuff, then you pretty much need to keep doing it, right? So it all has a uniform look. But isn't this cute? This is a little pocket. When we're done with this, this is going to be a little bit different. It's an envelope, not a pocket. And this is fun. You can tuck something inside, and then when you undo it, then you got a little surprise inside. So that could be anything. And if you were giving it to somebody, it looks like it would be big enough you could even put a gift card in it. And I tell you what a gift that this would be, right? Okay, let me move this out of the way. I didn't move it very far, did I? So now we're going to just fold on these lines. Now this blue square is going to be the back. That's going to be the back of our envelope. And I got glue all on my fingers from when I was putting it on those ribbon, the tails of that ribbon. Okay. And so these little places right here, that is for you to punch a little hole so that you can run some ribbon through there. Now I'm going to go back a little bit farther than where that is. So I've got a little bit of the dark still showing on that. I can hardly see. Goodness. I can barely see. Okay. And then also when you've got something folded like this, you want to get a little bit of ink on these folds as well. I almost feel like this is it's been as much, I've been as much telling you about inking as anything, you guys. All right, so now we've got that there. I'm gonna put this on here. Let's go ahead. I've got a length of ribbon here. I'm gonna see how this fits. This is 15 inches. So now we're gonna just run it through both of these. And again, remember you can put a, and I'll tell you something else you can do. You can also put a little bit of glue around the edges of those holes, and then it becomes something like, you know, remember the old paper reinforcements for, you know, rings on your notebook paper, kind of like that. And we can tie this here. Look at that, isn't that cute? And then we'll put that in our book. I'm just going to put it here on the second page. I'll just put it right here. I like that because it kind of coordinates with our purple gingham right there. So just put that on. And just go ahead and, you know, use your double-sided tape if you want to. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to put it at an angle. I think I'm going to put it this way. Just like that. And put that down. There, I like that. Okay. And then let's do this. We'll do this other little envelope, and then I'm just going to do you I'm going to walk through one I've already done, and I'm going to show you some ideas of what you can do with all the other pockets. Let's cut this one out and we'll do it. I have this one all cut out, and then again we're just going to fold at the lines around the blue rectangle, and then this is going to be, I'm going to glue it down too. You wouldn't have to glue it down, but since the back has got this blue rectangle, I'm just going to glue it down. So this is how this works. The scallop is the top, and so you want to fold the sides in like this. Oh, I do need to give it a little bit more. I can't help myself. It needs it. Just has to have it. Okay, so, oh my goodness. So this is how this goes. Fold in the sides, and then you can take a tiny bit of glue all along here. Don't get too close. Make sure you don't glue your envelope closed, and then just fold it up like that. And you might need to, you know, have something like a bone folder or something, so that when you're gluing things like that, that you make sure that, you know, they aren't glued inside your pocket area, right? And on this one, we need to put a little Velcro thing Here's our little Velcro dots, and what I'm going to do is, excuse me, I'm going to snip them apart here. They're on a little carrier sheet, and I've put the hook and the loop part already together to make it easy. And so just peel it off of one side of the carrier sheet, and then if I put it here at the close to the top little edge, I know it will stick. I know it's not going to be in the way down here is what I mean. Okay. All right, and now you can just close it up, and then there you go. Now you've got that. I would let that set for a little while, I think. That's not too bad. They're very thin. Well, it's already stuck good enough to stay. Okay, so we've got that all glued down. Now we just need to find a place to put it in here, and put it anywhere you want to. You know, I actually think I'm going to put it right here because I like the way it coordinates over there. You guys, and these, you know, these spine things are going to be a little bit, you know, loose. They're going to have a little bit of give. Don't worry about that. It's just, you know, it's the way it is. It was the way this particular little journal book was designed, but it'll be fine. You know, there's lots of ways to do things, right? This one is just a little bit different. Okay, and I'm just going to put that down. I'm going to put it down kind of low. There we go. All right. Now we've got a ton of different tags and little labels that you could write on or stamp something on. All kinds of pockets. Let me grab this other journal that I already worked on, and let me walk through it with you and show you some ideas of how you might want to place some of these other pieces. And there's no right or wrong to make the rest of them. I put this little pocket with the little bee thing, I put that right there. And this is a little card. It's like a little house-shaped card. You could write a note in it. You could do some journaling. It'll fit right in there. I'm going to kind of go slow walking through this in case you want to come back and watch this part and see what I did in here. Now, here's two pieces right here. Oh, let me show you this. That's these pieces right here. And one of them, this piece right here, is what I put here. And I just went ahead and I clipped part of it off. I just made an easy angle right here, and I clipped that part off. And so on some of these things, you might not want to, because see, then I just left this open here because that gives you more room to tuck things in. But I just crisscrossed them there. I thought that would be fun. And then this one, I put a little pocket here on the front, and I kind of just made this to where you could, I mean, if you wanted to, you could actually score it along through here so that it would open, you know, better. I just thought it would be kind of fun to just kind of peek back in here. And then again, this one, I only glued on 2 corners. So anytime you glue on 2 corners, a lot of these do not have glue tabs. So they're tighter pockets to begin with. So when they are a tighter pocket, but you can see, I mean, they go, you know, they go in here, you know, because the glue is down here. So, I mean, they just are a tighter pocket, but they'll hold stuff real nicely. And then we put our little pocket in the, I don't know, I don't think ours look like that. Oh yeah, it did, because this is the same page over here. And then there's these little tuck spaces here, and you can either leave this part unglued so it's just truly a tuck place, or this one is a little bit like a pocket. And again, I crisscrossed some of these over here and only left I left this open on both sections. So again, they're just glued on the 2 outside edges. And this one, this is kind of, these would be cute to put like some little pictures on. And just, there's some, you know, cute things that you can use for embellishments. Here's another one of these bottom little flappy things. There were several of those. So you can just tuck things in here. But you know, this also makes it nice. And if you didn't want to use these, this would be nice space to use, you know, to put pictures on if you wanted to. But like I said, try and, you know, think how you wanted to use this. Oh, let's see, where's my little, I don't know where these went. I left these, okay, these things that look like stamps, I left these open on this side here. I had something that tucked in there. I don't know what I did with that. And then this one is the same over here. There's something that tucks in here. Aha, I found them. So you can, these are the little cards like this. And you can tuck that right in there. And then here's these other little cards with the lines. And they'll fit in this one. Just glue a tiny bit around the edge though, you guys, because it'll make it too tight if you don't. And then there's all kinds of little tags. So just take your ribbon, punch your little hole in your tags. It's got the little place marked. This is probably not the best color for this, but I just had this out. And you can tie, this is one of the ways that you can just, you know, go in one time and, you know, just tie it like this. You can tie it in a knot if you want to. And just kind of straighten it out if you want to. You've got some tags like that. I don't think this kind of ribbon is not going to do very well. You know, the other way that you can sometimes put it in is to get it in and then wrap it around the ribbon. Well, here, I can do it like this. You can put it like this, and then you open up your loop and then stick the tails back through and then just pull it tight. This kind of ribbon's a little bit stiff to do that with. Pull it down there and pull it up, and then you've got this, then it looks like this instead. So it's kind of, you know, two different ways that you can put your ribbon in. This one is easier to get it in this way, like that. And let's see, what else have we done? So just more side tuck pockets. You can use some of the other little goodies here. There's some labels. You can put a label on something. That doesn't look very good with those cards, does it? But, you know, just little labels. Put it right there. I don't like it with that either. There's all kinds of them though. That kind of matches that one. It kind of coordinates a little bit better. It's got that rose pattern. I might just stick that on there now. Where's my glue? And so we'll just put that on. Just put a little bit of glue. Well, we have about come to the end of the glue for this project, so I'm glad that held out. And then just put it on there. You could write something or stamp something on there. Put somebody's name. If you're doing a little bit of, if you put a picture up here or something, or have some things tucked in from, you know, vacation or trip or something, you could put a little bit of something there. Popped off. You know, if that's what you wanted to do, you can do whatever you want to with these. So I'm gonna leave you to it. I hope you will share with me what you have done. Now this one I did backwards. It should have been the other direction. So, you know, all you have to do is just tie it up for your closure and you are ready to go. And you can either use it for yourself, give it as a gift, whatever you want to do. It's your journal, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, be sure and reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And there's what it looks like on the back for a binding. You guys, thanks so much. I'll see you next time.